my reflections on Aligned in the coming month have been really focused on the idea of motion and movement. And that's something that has come up in our company meetings and it's been brought up by other people. But it's really resonated with me and how I think about our programs. I think on a first level, I related to it a lot from a sports perspective, from this perspective of training, even when you don't know what you're training for. And I think that is really reflective of Align's journey because we've been so focused on finding a problem and deeply understanding it before we build a solution, that it really feels like this idea of training without knowing what you're training for, which is something that's so frowned upon by society. There's this idea that you need to have a goal and you need to know exactly what you're doing and you need to build out a very direct path. But I think the way that we've approached things is this perspective of falling in love with the problem and training to the best of your ability and trusting that the right place to put that training to work will present itself. And I think we've experienced that a lot in our work with the system. And now, as we're reaching this phase of getting the new programs going, it feels like it's presented itself. This is what we've been training for. We've been putting all of this effort into understanding the landscape of maternity and CKD. And now we're getting a chance slowly but surely to see what we can do in that space and really play around. And I think that is wonderfully exciting and I'm really looking forward to it. And I think as we move towards new programs, I've tried to be inspired by what we've done in palliative care, and what the whole of Align does every day in palliative care. And it's been amazing to see where we started with palliative care and where we are now, because I think we started with this vision of understanding the problem, and then we got a program on the ground, but we didn't rest in that notion. If you think of physics, you remember the early physics principle of learning that an object is either at rest or in constant motion until acted upon by a force. But we never became that object that is just in its constant motion and not being acted upon by force. We keep refining our program and we keep adjusting our motion. We keep learning when to slow down, when to reflect on what's working and what isn't working, when to change direction and be clear that actually we need to come back to a specific path or we need to change the direction of our path. And that's been really inspiring with palliative care, that it's not just a program that's moving along, but it's a program that's letting itself be moved by what it encounters. So I've really enjoyed seeing that. And I think it's something that I'm trying to keep in mind, and beautifully it's already being held by so many people within Aligned and so many people in our orbit that it's an easy thing to hold because the reminders are sprinkled along the way by so many different people already, that as we move from getting these programs moving to moving them along, that isn't a clear path either. It's a path that you have to keep adjusting and keep understanding. So I think that's been very front of mind for me at the moment, the concepts of getting into motion versus being in motion, and how neither is easier than the other and how you always need to remain alert. The concept of movement versus letting yourself be moved. And it's been amazing because I think Aligned's nature of seeing things as fractals, of seeing that the work we do outwardly in the health system needs to reflect the work we're doing inside, has allowed me to practice that in a way that works together with so many other aligners. I see it a lot at the moment. We've been, in a very literal sense, focused on moving. We've been doing aligned monthly runs. And in that sense, focusing not just on running, but on what you see along the way. I've been walking a lot more and seeing the sunrise at different times every day. And I think that's been wonderful to have these like moving inputs as you're moving yourself, and taking that along into the new programs as we get ready to launch them. The idea that we have been getting them moving and they're about to start moving on their own, but we still need to let us and our new programs be moved by what we encounter once we have them on their path. So I think that's been the focus for me. And I think it's wonderful to see it held by so many people in land already, to see it held by the people in our orbit. And I hope that it will help us continue to embody the BBC ethos of improvement rather than a stagnant solution as we enter into like the new realms. So I'm excited to take it forward with that idea.